98% of your brain activity, it is entirely unconscious. Literally every decision, every single action, all those, 60,000 thoughts you have every single day, they are completely dictated by a hidden biological system that you aren't even aware of.
You are literally blinded by your own biology right now. You're operating on autopilot through this kind of rusted-out nervous system firewall, and it's keeping you stuck exactly where you are.
So, if you want to finally hack that firewall, do me a quick favor. Hit subscribe, like this explainer, and drop a comment right now because we are about to deep clean the gunk that the world put in your head.
See, your conscious logic, like the part of you that's reading books and making those 5-year plans, that is just a tiny, tiny fraction compared to the overwhelming power of your unconscious drive. You probably think you're the one in control, but actually, you're trapped.
Now, what's really interesting about this is a fascinating Nobel Prize-winning discovery. If you put a frog on a literal bed of dead flies, it will starve to death. No way, right? Why? Well, its reptilian brain is strictly wired to only register moving visual signals, so it's completely blind to the abundance sitting right under its nose. And guess what? We actually share that exact same primal brain architecture.
And here is why all your motivational routines and spreadsheets just aren't working. Your subconscious absolutely does not respond to adult logic. Scientifically speaking, it is permanently stuck at the developmental age of 4 to 7 years old. It's basically a permanent child.
Section 1. The Nervous System Firewall. So think of your brain as a computer, right? Your nervous system is basically a super rigid firewall sitting between any new empowering programs you want to install and your deep core hard drive. This brings us to a really crucial concept, your reality tunnel. Every single second of your waking life, billions, literally billions of data signals are hitting your sensory organs. Light, sound, wind, micro-expressions on people's faces, the whole shebang. If you tried to process all of that consciously at once, you would experience pure, unadulterated chaos. You literally wouldn't be able to function. So to protect you, this biological firewall filters out an enormous amount of info. And crucially, it specifically blocks anything that threatens your existing beliefs just to keep you safe from psychological dissonance. You don't actually experience objective reality. You experience this highly edited, subjective reality that your nervous system allows in. It only lets in data that confirms what you already think is true.
Because of this, we are incredibly vulnerable to accidental imprinting, especially during high emotion moments. And this is exactly how that rigid firewall gets built in the first place. Consider a baby giraffe whose mother was hunted right after it was born. Highly traumatized, the baby immediately imprinted on a passing jeep, simply because it had 4 wheels that kind of looked like legs. The giraffe ended up following this jeep around and, incredibly, later even tried to mate with it. Or take a documented medical case of a man who suffered 20 years of severe impotence. Why? Simply because a police officer flashed a really bright light into his car during an intimate, highly emotional moment when he was a teenager. That intense emotional spike of fear and shame wired his brain instantly. His nervous system linked that specific environmental trigger to danger, creating a completely irrational yet totally permanent physical filter. And the crazy thing is, we all walk around with these accidental imprints dictating our limits.
Dr. Maxwell Maltz, who was this pioneering plastic surgeon and the founder of psychocybernetics, discovered this firsthand. He noticed that even after flawlessly fixing severe facial deformities in his patients, a massive percentage of them still felt genuinely ugly. Their personalities didn't change at all, and their confidence didn't rise. Why? Because the brain doesn't respond to objective reality. It responds to your fossilized self-image. It's like a giant rubber band effect. If your conscious achievements somehow exceed your unconscious self-image, like losing 50 pounds or suddenly making a bunch of money, your nervous system sounds a massive alarm. You will inevitably unconsciously self-sabotage and snap right back to the you that your nervous system firmly believes you are. The weight comes back, the money's squandered. To actually change your life permanently, you have to fundamentally change that internal image.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 2. Hacking the theta state.
So, how do we actually bypass this rigid firewall to rewrite our self-image? Well, we can't use force. You simply can't out-logic a nervous system that operates at the level of a 5-year-old child. Right now, watching this explainer, paying attention to my words, you are in a beta brainwave state. You're thinking, you're alert, you're analyzing, maybe slightly stressed. Now, as your breathing slows and you relax on the couch, you shift down into alpha. But to truly slip past the bouncers at the door of your subconscious, you absolutely must enter theta. Theta is that profound state of deep meditation, hypnosis, and the very light edge of sleep. In Theta, your critical analytical mind just goes completely offline. Your survival alarm systems finally shut down, and your permanent child subconscious becomes highly receptive to new programming. This is literally the only window where real, lasting change can be installed without putting up a fight.
And historical geniuses, they actively engineered ways to hack this exact state. The legendary surrealist artist Salvatore Dali would sit down for a nap in an armchair, deliberately holding a heavy metal key dangling right over a ceramic plate on the floor. As he drifted off and slipped out of alpha, sinking deep into the theta state, his muscles would naturally relax. His hand would open, the heavy key would drop onto the plate, and the loud clang would wake him up right at that fragile, magical edge of sleep. That specific jolt allowed him to consciously capture brilliant, unfiltered, wildly creative ideas directly from his subconscious before they completely vanished into deep sleep. Even Thomas Edison, one of history's greatest inventors, used the exact same trick but with steel balls to bypass his analytical mind and solve complex engineering problems. Pretty wild, right?
Section 3, the reprogramming protocol.
Now, we don't need metal keys and plates to fix our reality tunnels, but we do need a systematic approach. So here is your concrete, actionable protocol to re-imprint your nervous system. Step 1. You need the new code. Record a hypnotic induction or highly specific positive affirmations in your own voice and set them to play on a loop at a very low volume as you fall asleep. Step 2 is absolutely crucial. You have to intensely relax. You have to convince your body it is totally safe. Try the calm body, calm mind technique. Laying in bed, imagine your body literally deflating like a punctured balloon, limb by limb, just letting gravity completely pull you down into the mattress. And remember, the harder you try to force this relaxation, the more you're going to fail because effort signals stress to the brain. Intense, passive relaxation is exactly what's required to make the autonomic nervous system finally drop its guard. Then, steps 3 and 4. Immerse yourself fully in the desired outcome and simply drift off to sleep while the audio plays.
But here is the secret sauce that makes step 3 actually work. You cannot just lay there craving a goal. Craving inherently implies a lack of having it, and your subconscious will register and imprint that exact feeling of lack. As the philosopher Neville Goddard famously taught, you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Before you fall asleep, you've got to vividly, completely drench yourself in the sensory feeling of the goal already being an accomplished fact in your past. If it's a new car, don't wish for it. Feel the specific texture of the leather steering wheel in your hands. Smell that new car scent. Hear the engine rumbling. Meet the vibration of the reality evenly. Your nervous system literally cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined event and a physical reality.
Section 4, controlling your daily input.
And this brilliantly illustrates that the reprogramming doesn't just stop when the sun comes up and you get out of bed. Your waking hours are actively doing one of two things at all times: relentlessly reinforcing the old you or actively molding the new you. See, your brain is physically incapable of ignoring a question. It acts exactly like a web search engine. If you walk around asking yourself a disempowering question like, why am I such an idiot? Or why does this always happen to me? Your brain will immediately execute a search. It'll instantly dig up memories of every single mistake you've ever made since you were 6 years old just to provide you with the evidence to answer that question. Negative questions breed negative, painful realities by forcing the nervous system to focus on proof of your flaws.
Instead, you need to relentlessly audit your waking inputs and flood your system with power questions. When you're faced with a challenge, ask yourself, what would my highest, most capable self do right now? Or, what would a fully healed, completely safe nervous system feel like in this exact situation? Speak these affirmations out loud in the present tense. The body responds to sound and vibration. Mirror work is incredibly powerful here, even if it feels a little uncomfortable at first. Look yourself directly in the eyes in the mirror and declare who you are right now as a statement of unshakable fact, not who you hope to be someday in the distant future. Command the nervous system. Do not negotiate with it. So, I want to know, what specific disempowering question do you need to stop asking yourself today? Tell us in the comments down below. And hey, while you're there, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep upgrading your reality tunnel together.
The core takeaway here is that you can actively bypass your biological firewall by mastering your relaxation and hacking the theta state. Now, this is general information. Always consult a doctor for personal medical advice. But this leaves us with a fascinating and maybe slightly terrifying question. If our thoughts and focused relaxations can rewrite our self-image, what exactly happens on a cellular level when deep trauma physically wires the brain's hardware? How do we reverse physical neuroplastic damage once it's completely locked in? Well, we'll uncover that mystery next time.